Good morning, welcome back to the channel. I haven't put anything out for a long time, so I apologise. I've had some health issues, so we haven't put anything out for a while, but we're back. I thought we'd start with the June roundup. If you don't know by now, I am somebody that reads very fast. June was a heavy Pokemon month for events, so that meant my husband and my stepson were not in the building, which means Saturdays and Sundays is free for me to read a lot. And if the books are about 250 pages, that's a couple of hours. So I can easily get through, especially if it's a series where, you finish one and it's a cliffhanger and you're like, okay, I'm going to need to read the next one. I can get through them pretty fast. So I can probably get through about maybe 3 books in a day over a weekend. So when I look at my list, it looks crazy. It's actually been a bit of a slower month for me. Because don't look behind me. We're actually in the middle of reorganising our house and switching a couple of rooms around, which means things are messy. So you just don't. I told you to not look. In this video, we'll be doing a quick June roundup of all the books that I've read, and I'll highlight some of my favourites. I've also decided that this month I'm going to start back with a reading journal. I haven't done one for a while. I did start to record me doing it, but the pressure of setting up a journal on camera made me crack. So I had to do it over the course of a couple of days. So I will just give you like a little bit of an overview of what I've put in there. I haven't done one for a while, so you have to bear with me. It's not the best. It will get better, I'm sure. And we also have June's Smut and Sip, and I'll also talk about my July reading goals, because every month what I'm trying to do is putting a new reading goal. I record everything I read on a Google Sheet where I have the book name, the author, what series it's part of, if it's on Kindle Unlimited or not, what genre it is. We have the month that it's read in, the smut rating. I read a lot of dark romance, so I feel like my smut rating is very skewed in comparison to what some normal people's might be. So maybe I think my 3s possibly might be like 4s for other people. And my overall rating, it's very hard to get a 5-star rating with me. It's got to be one that I sit and think about a lot. And then would I recommend it? Yes, no, maybe, because it depends on what your trigger warnings are and the content, and then hell knows. Also, there's it's my favourite, I will cut a bitch, because it's subjective. Everybody likes different things. However, if you disrespect my favourite books, I will cut a bitch. June was a bit of a weird month. I was a bit all over the place in June. And so the first one that I read, I was in the middle of reading The Kind of Fairy Tales from May, so by Cassandra Gannon. So The Kingpin of Camelot, which is one of my favourites. A lot of people recommended that one as one to read, but I had to read the one. You have to read the ones before it to get to it. I think it's number 3 in the series, and The Kingpin of Camelot is probably one of my favourites. I really, really loved Kingpin of Camelot. Best Night Ever, again, it was another really good one. That's male, so if you are into that and you like reading that, it's actually a really good, it's a Grumpy Sunshine. We love that. Doves and Demons was a reverse harem. It did have it had a sequel, but I just wasn't bothered. It was about her sister, and I just wasn't bothered. So, and it's they're all it's like a Mothman, like a weird plague doctor, and a fae, I think. It's interesting. Then I decided in June it was going to be my start to reading hockey romance. I'd never read any before, and it's always coming. You see hockey romance everywhere, and you're like, but why? But why? And I love me some SJ Tilly, and I kept seeing like the covers are amazing. So I've read all the Sleep series. Now I started reading Sleep Kitten, and then I had to travel for work, and I was reading it on the train, and I opened up my Kindle app on my phone, which is how I read a lot of my books, especially when I'm traveling. I opened up my Kindle app on my phone, and it flashed the cover to a very crowded train, and I was like, oh my god. And this is the cover. So that was fun. I full on giggled for about 5 minutes because I'm past the point of caring, and it was extremely funny to me. So I read all of the Sleep series, which I did really enjoy. And then obviously I had to go to the Pokémon number, because that's the other one that everybody recommends. Now that I've read a lot of C.R. Jane. I've pretty much read all of the back catalogue of C.R. Jane in June, because they're just very funny. I love me a funny book, which I think you'll notice through a lot of the things I've read this month. have got like a comedy element to them. And the Pucking Wrong ones are very, very funny, very unhinged. If you love an obsessed, unhinged, it is dark romance, even though it's sports. I've classified it as sports, but it is dark romance. And they do some really unhinged things, but it's very funny. And one of the things I loved about the Rena Kent verse, or the Rena verse, was the text chains, especially of the dads. The dads in the text chains cracked me up. And you get a lot of text chains in the Pucking Wrong series, and they make my day. I absolutely love them, especially like the Circle of Trust. So I got very much into the C.R. Jane verse. Then I read Caught Up because it came out. You know, we had to read it. I was a little bit disappointed. I've put overall rating was a 4, but on reflection, I don't think I was that happy with it. So I'm probably going to put it down to a 2, and I'm going to put maybe, because on reflection, it wasn't as good. It's not as good as Lights Out. And when I think about the characters, like the female main character, it reminds me a little bit of oh god, what's the one with the terrible dark romance with the Peter Pan and come on, editing, tell me what it is. It reminds me of that one where her entire personality is sex, which is absolutely fine, and that is a life choice. And she's on the equivalent of OnlyFans, absolutely fine. She talks about how she's trying to advocate for sex worker rights, great. She's involved in I don't want to say a sex club, because it isn't. So she's involved in a sex club, and there's like some problems with that, like as part of a business. But you find out later on that like her advocacy work, he's influenced. Like he's her biggest supporter. He's like her number one supporter that throws a ton of cash at her. And it just makes her feel really one-dimensional, because you don't get to see that side of her. You don't get to see that side where she's out campaigning. It just revolves around like sex. And it just gets a bit boring. It's okay. I just wasn't invested. The bits I was invested in was where they had Josh and Ali come in from Lights Out, and they make an appearance. And that's, sorry, my hair's doing my head in. And that's the only bit that I was actually like excited for. Sorry, I'm messing with my hair while I'm talking, and that's very distracting. So then after reading that, I went back to the Pucking Wrong series and finished them off, because the Pucking Wrong Rookie is the last one that's been published so far. I don't know if there's going to be any more, because she has been concentrating on the Wrong Player series, and then there's also a spin-off from the Wrong Player series into a Mafia series, so that'll be interesting. Then I finally read Sword Heart by T. Kingfisher. Again, it's another one that's just funny, and I genuinely really enjoyed it. I enjoyed T. Kingfisher's writing. It reminds me very much of like Terry Pratchett-esque, like the crazy ridiculousness, and yeah, I enjoyed it. I read The Night and the Moth next. That's one I'm going to do a full-length review for, because I have opinions, and I think they go against the grain. So I've said maybe because it was just an okay for me. I didn't love it as much as I thought I would, so we'll talk about that one a bit later. The Wrong Quarterback, as I say, going into the Wrong Player series, which I enjoyed. This is more around college. The other ones, obviously, they're on an NHL team. The Wrong Quarterback, it is a college football team, so that one's fun. And then the next one was the latest on the Cowboy Colony Mail Order Brides, which was the Married to the Alien Mountain Man. I just wanted something cozy, and the Ursa Dax Cowboy Colony Mail Order Brides, despite the name, series is really good, so I enjoyed that. Then I read the Pucking Wrong Christmas. I said no, I would not recommend this, because it is a literal, it feels like you've got a Christmas setting, and that's the plot is Christmas, but what actually happens is just sex. So you get all of the characters. I think it's in between, so Disney's not met Olivia yet, so it's after Ari's book, and it's okay. It's a novella. I'm not fussed for it. Then we went back to Cassandra Gannon for, that's a spelling mistake, isn't it, for Seducing the Sheriff of Nottingham. Loved it. Time Travelling Maid Marian, who's not going to love it? Sheriff of Nottingham's a gargoyle. Yeah, loved it. Oh my god, look at my spelling mistakes. Then I finally got around to reading A Fate Inked in Blood. I got A Curse Carved in Bone a while back, so I finally read those. I enjoyed them. If you like yourself a little bit of Viking and Norse mythology, they're a good read. Then I got my mystery boxes, which we're going to have a video on that this month, which are the next 4. As you can see, there's a hell no out of that one, so we'll discuss that later. I'm not going to lie, reading contemporary romance fully stalled me. I probably didn't read for a couple of days. I didn't know what to read after it. I really struggled. Contemporary romance killed my love for reading for a second. But then I went to Ruin, so the Inferis duology by Gillian Eliza West, Ruin and Reckoning. Do you know what? I fully stand by my 5-star. It might be I don't know, might not be a popular one for everybody else. I read, obviously, A Court of Thorns and Roses, ACOTAR, a long time ago. I'm actually going to do a reread of the first one because it's been over a year since I read it for the first time. So I kind of want to see how my opinions change, because I've read a lot of books since then. As you can see, I'm on like 464 books read. I actually have read a couple more since then. I just haven't put them on my list yet. But yeah, I've read a lot of books, and I feel like my opinion's going to have changed of ACOTAR if I go back and revisit it now. So that's on my list. But Ruin, Reckoning, if you want a decent done Shadow Daddy, Ruin and Reckoning. Renwick, love him. Aurelia, love them. They're just, love them. I really enjoyed that duology. I love it when you've got a duology as well, because you don't need more. It's just perfect. Then I realised I hadn't read the last 2 of The Folk of the Air. So the duology that's around Oak, I realised I hadn't read them. So I went and read those. I have the trilogy. I had the trilogy anyway. So I got those 2 and I've read them. I enjoyed them, actually. I liked Oak's character. So that was fun. Then I went back and read the Wrong Play series. So that's The Wrong Place from the Wrong Player series. That's around Jace. And the Mafia series is going to be a spin-off from his brother Jagger. So that one will be interesting. And then we get to Death, which I have been waiting for. I have not been obsessively checking to make sure that the publication date has changed. No. This is Santiago's book. And we have been waiting for Santiago. In the first 2 of the Mafia Empire, he's a big character in there. He's quite integral. He's almost like the heart of the group. And you know that the story is that he's had this psychic reading that he's going to find the love of his life. So he's got this engagement ring that he's been hanging on to, and he finally gets to give it. It is only like a 260 page book. I read it within a couple of hours, thoroughly enjoyed it, and now I'm waiting for the next one. So come on, Michelle. Michelle Head does series and tends to be in 5s, so I think it's all of the heads of the alliance. It wasn't, Hermit is still my hands down favourite one out of the 3 so far, but I did really enjoy this one. It's probably my second favourite out of the Mafia Empire series. I also read Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Sword. I actually read that before I read Death, but I forgot to put it on, so I just added it at the bottom. Interesting book. I came into it blind. I just read what was on the inside of the hardcover, which doesn't give you a lot. It just kind of gives you a paragraph on each character and each time zone, each time. So I came into it really unaware of what it was going to be, and I got to like page 120, and I was like, "Oh shit, this is about vampires." So I didn't know that until this point. So yes, that was my June reading. What was my favourite? I loved Ruin and Reckoning. Ruin and Reckoning were like the big ones, and then Kingpin of Camelot. Like, Kingpin of Camelot is a fantastic book. I just love it. It's literally Camelot, but you've got Midas. I was trying to think who it is. You've got Midas, who is supposed to be like this underworld mafia king, and then you've got Guinevere from Camelot, and Arthur's dead, and it's all chaotic. The Scarecrow's trying to take over. It's amazing. I love a kind of fairy tales. I've just started Some Kind of Witch, because there's only 2 left in the series for me, so I'm a bit sad about that. But yeah, I think Kingpin of Camelot or Ruin and Reckoning. Probably Kingpin of Camelot was my favourite of that month. A favourite of June. I think about it a lot. I've recommended it to my mum to read as well. So I think that was my June favourite. But the other two were Ruin and Reckoning. I loved that series. They were really, really good. Ruin has been in my TBR for a long time. It's been sat from my Kindle Unlimited library. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I put things, when I see recommended books that I'm interested in, I will go to my Kindle Unlimited and I'll add it straight into my library, so it's sat there waiting. And Ruin has been sat there for a while, and I don't know why I put it off for so long. But now I've read it and I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm glad I read it. So onto my reading journal. We'll put some B-roll in while I talk about it. So I've started it off. I've got my to be read list, and I've started to fill that out from the physical copies that I currently have in my possession. I've left us a couple of spaces, and then I've also got the next couple of pages, which is my series tracker. It looks really messy. I'm not happy with it. And I've left a couple of spaces because, again, I read a lot of series. Then I have my July spread. There's not a lot of colour because I'm missing the right pens. And I've got my mood tracker. I thought I'd go for a seaside theme. Got my July calendar where I want to write what my plans for videos are, and make sure I've got that in there. So that's what my July calendar is for. I've got my July TBR, so that's the ones I definitely want to read this month. So I've got Neuromancer in there. I've got Curse of Shadow and Thorns, Enchantra, Between, The Poppy War, This Savage Song, and The City of Brass. My reading goals this month, I've got my page ready for my July favourites, and then that's it. I mean, I'm thinking that I might do reviews of my favourites, but I'm not sure because I do read a lot. I'll probably read about another 30 books this month. The books are quite, if they're like 200 to 300 pages, I will get through them in a couple of hours. So part of me just wants to, I'm trying to slow down and enjoy them as we go, but you know, but if they're 200 to 300 pages, I will get through them pretty fast. So I'm thinking that's a lot of books to put on a review. But we'll see how we go. We'll see how we go. So that's my reading journal. If you've got any suggestions or any pages to put in which you found really helpful, that would be great, because I struggled. I spent a lot of time on Pinterest trying to find aesthetic ideas of things to put on. So there's that. And now we will go to unboxing my June Smut and Sip. Very prettily packaged. Oh, that's cute. Cute enamel pin. So what have we got? The Cruel Dark and the Lover Duet. Sticker. We've got the art, which is always good. Oh. Obviously we're here for the good stuff. Oh. Okay, so here's the cocktail. So it's a mocktail. So this month, the Prohibition Collection has crafted a hauntingly delicious mocktail in a beautiful bottle, an alcohol-free bramble featuring blackberry, 0% gin and lemon. To prepare, simply pour the contents into a shaker with ice and anything else you fancy. Shake well and serve over lots of ice in a cocktail glass. Okay, and then finally, have the book itself. Oh my god, just constantly getting caught on the bubble wrap. Okay. Just a Cruel Dark and Lover Duet. Beautifully done as usual. She's also got nice pictures. Overlays inside. Very pretty. I don't know much about this book, so it'll be interesting to come in blind. So this is the book. It is absolutely beautiful, but I don't know what the blurb is and I've never read it. So let's read the blurb. So it's saying romance, horror and Celtic lore collide in this thrilling gothic tale that will keep you up at night. Millicent Foxborough is haunted not by ghosts but by the anguish of her past and the uncertainty of her future. After all, even in the progressive year of 1928, most people would balk at hiring a woman who'd spend months in a mental ward for traumatic amnesia. So when an uncommon assistantship to a reclusive professor of mythology falls into her lap with an ungodly salary attached, her desperation for stability overrides her cautious nature. To Millie's dismay, the widowed Professor Callum Hughes and his estate Willowfield are more than she bargained for. The once magnificent home, known for its sprawling gardens and dazzling parties, is falling to pieces after the death of the professor's fragile wife. What's more, the staff have been reduced to only 3 people, not frightened away by rumours of ghosts, leaving the halls empty and languishing in bitter memories. The professor himself is a grim, intense man with unclear expectations, unpredictable moods, and hungry eyes that ignite with Millie's own dormant passions. The closer she finds herself drawn to Professor Hughes and his strange world of flowers and folklore, the more the house closes in, threatening to reveal her secret. But the professor is keeping secrets of his own, and the most dangerous of all is hers to discover. So it's actually like a duology. So you've got, it says it's the lover duet. So what's lover? The lover is a novella, so it's a companion. So the blurb for lover is: experience Willowfield in a chilling and heartbreaking new way through the eyes of its haunted master, Professor Callum Hughes. The novella follows the plot of The Cruel Dark from beginning to end, chapter by chapter, in Callum Hughes' POV, and contains several bonus scenes. Lover is meant to be read after The Cruel Dark and not in tandem, as it contains plot spoilers from chapter 1. So yeah, absolutely beautiful book from Smut and Sip. Looking forward to reading this one. It's going to be on my things to read this month in July. So report back in August, I guess. Thank you for following along on today's rather chaotic June roundup with added extras. I will see you next week.